Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. What? Well, I guess. Actually, no, you've seen some new stuff. I've seen one new thing. But we are kind of going back and trying to catch up ahead of next week, which will not be a deep dive like normal. It will be our top 5 of 2023. So we've kind of gone back for a lot of movies to kind of, see each other's films, because I think quite often with this show, certainly the way I do it is like when you've seen something, I'm like, okay, I don't need to see that now until later. Unless it's something you really love, and then I'm like, okay, I'll probably go check that out. So do you want to kick us off? You've seen way more than I have, so
well, should we start with let's get the shit out of the way, shall we?
Oh, go on. Which one?
Should we do Rebel Moon first?
Oh, I've seen half of Rebel Moon, yes.
Yeah, so we'll get that one out of the way.
So, Rebel Moon, the new Zack Snyder movie, Netflix exclusive, dropped over Christmas, right?
Yes.
So, what did you think of it?
Oh god, it sucks.
Oh, good.
So
well, not
bad.
good. It's bad, but I thought
it was awful.
I thought you were gonna like it more than I did.
No. Honestly, oh god. I mean, look, in recent years, I've said before, I hate the way that people keep laying into Zack Snyder, and I understand, a lot of the
this movie though is everything that's wrong with Zack Snyder's movies.
Oh god, yeah.
It's all the problems in one.
With this one is, it's like he's forgotten how to do everything.
It's fucking...
The action we know he can do action sequences.
Dude,
we've seen him do really good action sequences. The action sequences are terrible.
The worst crime of the action sequences of this film that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So to put it to be clear, I was having like the worst week of my life, and then I started watching Rebel Moon. So I about an hour in, I was like, this is making my life even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm stopping here. But the part I've seen, if you're gonna insist, as Zack Snyder often does, on making all fucking action scenes slow-mo, you need good choreography.
Yep.
Like, you're exposing your action scenes so much more, your bad action scenes, when they're in slow motion.
Yeah.
It was, god.
It weirdly feels like slow-mo on top of slow-mo, which is like...
Yeah, it's like almost like it was already slow, and then they decided to make it slower.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, he's literally... So at times, I thought, is he just leaning into all the criticisms of him, like, to make a point? Is he trying to make...
I did wonder.
I don't know, but I don't think he is, but...
The whole thing smacks of ego.
Yeah.
And I do wonder whether the Snyderverse thing kind of went to his head. It's kind of what I was thinking while I was watching this.
It's a possibility.
Because I was a bit like you said, he's kind of doubled down on all the dumb shit.
Yep.
And it's almost like he's like, well, people love me.
This movie commits what we've said before is our biggest flaw in a movie. The thing that we hate most in a movie is boredom.
Oh God, was I bored?
If that is, for me, you can make a shit movie and I can enjoy it. But if you're boring the shit out of me, that's the worst thing a movie can do.
In the first 10 minutes of this movie, the lead character,
oh god,
is talking to her friend, old guy.
The old guy, or sort of savior,
yeah, and he's like talking to her, and she turns around, and I cannot remember what they said, but effectively she's like, "Hey, dude, who has known me most of my life, let me tell you about my fucking life."
7 years, I think.
Yeah, okay, fucking 7 years. Hello, person who's known me for 7 years. Let me now explain to you the last 7 years and how I got here. Even though you fucking know, because you've been here for 7 years.
The Basil exposition dumps.
Oh my god, the exposition was so bad.
I was so,
that annoyed me more than the fucking fight scenes. The exposition was killing me.
You probably probably. So you didn't even get to the end bit.
No.
Where...
No, I'll tell you where I got to when they went to the cantina and picked up fucking Sons of Anarchy.
God.
That's
you
when I
really didn't watch that much then.
No.
Dude, there's a bit later on, like near the end of the movie, where they get captured, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're all sort of trussed up.
You say I didn't watch much. It takes a fucking hour and 20 minutes or something to get there.
Yeah.
Because he's also incapable of doing anything quickly now. Like it has to take 1,000,000 years with him to do anything.
Yeah. So they're all trussed up, like should, and Ed Skieran's character literally walks up to each one of them and gives you their story.
Oh God!
Like this is Nemesis. She's the most feared assassin in the world and in the universe, and she went on a rampage because we killed her children and stuff. This is what's his face, the Prince of fucking Conan land, and like he's
John Carter of Mars.
It's like, yeah, exactly. He is totally John Carter of Mars, and it's like, why are you telling us this like this? What? Why? Because like none of the characters have any like life about them. Not one of them.
They're walking exposition. And
look, Sophia Botella is not the greatest actress in the world.
She ain't that bad. She ain't this bad.
But I have seen her properly act. She's, I can't remember what the movie she's in. It's a really fucking grim movie. It's about a bunch of dancers who have this party and that somebody spikes their drugs, and then it becomes this weird fucking orgy murder movie. She is brilliant in that.
Mm.
I mean, she's not doing it. She's basically playing a enhanced version of herself, really.
Sure.
But she can fucking act. I know she can act. In this, wow, she's just a walking slab.
I can tell you that no one, from what I saw of this movie, came off well. The only character I liked and was interested in any way seeing, and I don't know how it ends up, but the robot, who I think was voiced by Anthony Hopkins, sounded like it.
Yeah, he's voiced by. He runs away like 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
And you don't see him again until the very end.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Right, so I saw the bit when he runs away because he kills the guy, right, and then runs off. Yeah. I liked his character. That was the only character I was like, he's cool.
I mean,
I was intrigued to see his story.
So that kind of helped.
I was at least intrigued to see his story.
He literally turns up at the end with antlers on.
Oh my fucking god!
And a spear and stuff, and he looks like he's gone gone native or something.
Okay.
And he says a few lines, like not character wise, like the voiceover again says a few lines, and that's it.
Oh my god!
And you're like, oh, okay, fine. Oh god, so you didn't even get to Charlie Hunnam then?
No.
He's terrible. I'm Han Solo, but with an Irish accent. Oh, and the accents in this movie, it's like it's like he purposely chose everybody for their accent, but there's no sort of like these two dudes are clearly South African.
Yeah,
this dude is. I have no fucking idea. These people are what Amish, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's like what is going on?
It is in typical. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the best thing for me though was so I had at least the fun that I watched this with my wife and my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
The same way we watched the Twilight movies.
Sure, I watched it on my own.
It was only tolerable because we sat there and we took the piss for the entire movie.
Oh, dude, if I
made it palatable.
Yeah, if I was there with friends having a beer and slagging it off, I would have watched the whole thing for sure. Yeah. It is in typical Zack Snyder fashion. It's just him smashing toys together, which is all he's been doing for fucking years. And
it's like he's not even trying now, though. It's like there's
yeah.
Nobody has a proper character. Nobody is worth following. It's like, why am I watching this?
But again, there are painful slow motion aside.
Mm-hmm.
There are some really beautiful shots.
Yeah.
There are some really nice visuals.
Yeah.
He is still a fantastic visual director.
Yeah.
He needs to never write scripts ever. Ever. Yeah. Because every time he has, it's been awful. Any good film I think of his has been adapted.
He said that he's been working on this for like 30 years.
I don't know I don't understand what. This is not the work of 30 years.
No, what this is the work of so.
Well, I've been watching other people's films for 30 years and ripped off each of them.
It's a weird example, but I initially, right, so when I first started role playing,
yes,
I had a storyline.
My first D&D campaign is what
exactly,
this is. Yeah,
right?
yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So later on, when I had different players, I thought, actually, I like that story that I did back then. I am going to take that story and I'm going to remake it, sort of thing,
but
for these new players.
But not exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. You go back, you look at what you wrote, and you think, fucking hell, this was terrible.
But the concept is fine.
Being a lot better than that. So you change it. You go, yes. It's basically the same thing, but it was a different. This feels like he just took out the script that he wrote when he was 50.
Just took his 14-year-old fucking D&D script and was like, that's it.
That.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I'm not altering anything. I'm not. I watched Star Wars once and the Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai, and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And do you know what's worse than that is this already exists. It's called Battle Beyond the Stars.
I was going to say yes.
And do you know what? Battle Beyond the Stars it was made for shitloads less money. It's got a James Horner soundtrack. It's got better actors in it.
It's not a great movie, but it's better than this.
It's the best of the Star Wars rip-offs.
That's true. Yes, it is. It is. Yes.
It's got George Pepper in it, and it's got fucking for fuck's sake, Napoleon Solo. For fuck's sake, what's his name?
I don't know.
He's playing the same guy as he played in bloody Magnificent Seven.
I don't know.
It's got Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn?
No. Oh, this is so.
It doesn't. Don't worry about it.
But it's got
It's got people in it.
It's got John Boy in it as well as the main guy. He basically literally does the same thing. He goes from planet to planet or flying along, picking up people as he goes.
Yes.
In very brief ways that I'm gonna he saves Cowboy, who was my favourite character.
You just used a key point that is why it's a better film than this.
Yeah.
Brief.
Yeah. By
the way, this is just the introduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
This whole movie is just the introduction to the next movie.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you've seen the whole movie. Exactly how much does this have to do with his zombie heist movie? Because they're linked universes, so they must be massively linked together somehow. I'm sure it's pivotal to the plot that these films are linked.
I do not remember. Somebody told me what the connection was. I don't remember what it is, and I don't think they mention it.
Okay, yeah, I guess not.
There's something to do with Las Vegas. I don't know whether. I don't remember them mentioning it, but I remember somebody saying, "Oh, it's got something to do with the zombie outbreak." I think it. So I don't remember.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
And it's Robert Vaughn is the.
Robert Vaughn. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Vaughn is the. That's bloody look it up annoyingly. But that movie, that like I said, it's got way more memorable characters in it.
Yeah.
Like every character has a character, and it's also got Sybil Danning, who I recently heard described in this movie as a walking Frazetta painting, which is like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's like that has so much more charm and life that this fucking soulless movie has.
Yeah, Soulless describes it well.
Yeah.
It really it's for a year for a film that's 30 years in the making that Zack Snyder said like, oh, this is like basically I've been spending most of my adult life dreaming this movie up.
Yep.
I
mean, Cary Elwes is in this movie.
Yeah.
He's the Emperor, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Could you not do something more with Cary Elwes? Could you? I mean, maybe he'll appear more in,
I won't find out.
But see, I was so we were talking about this. Somebody said, are you going to watch the second one? And I said, no, I don't know. And then my wife went, yeah, we're definitely going to watch the second one. But we had fun watching the first one, and I thought, when she puts it that way, then yeah, we probably will watch it, but only because there's going to be a group of us watching it.
God damn it!
The piss out of it for a whole movie.
Maybe see if you're like, hey, come over and watch this fucking movie. I'll watch the second half and join you.
Yeah.
But only with alcohol.
The thing is, I would kind of say to you, you should probably finish it just to see the.
Well, I will if
is the rest of the movie.
If I can get a group of people to watch the second one for a laugh, then I will watch the rest of this one in preparation.
But my God, there's just so much wrong with this movie. It's like Duna Bay is playing the sword assassin lady.
Yeah.
And even she, who she's a wonderful actress. We know she can act. It feels like he's just gone to them. Don't act. Don't do anything.
Well, or it's because he is so obsessed with just green screening everything. Are they just on green screen with nothing to act against and just no concept of where they are or what they're doing?
Well, that does vary as well. There are some terrible shots of green screen. There are some very pretty ones, some very good ones.
Yeah,
they're just like, wow, that's
rough.
That's just some people stood in a room, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God, I so wanted to, even when I heard the reviews were coming in, I still was like, no, I'm definitely going to watch it myself. I'm not, I want to see. There must be some good in it, and I honestly failed to find any good to say about it.
I liked the robot.
Yeah,
and again, I will say some of the visuals were cool.
Yeah, some of the designs on the weapons are kind of cool. I liked her sort of blaster, which was
right.
Cool. That was a nicely designed bit of kit. The ships are pretty generic.
Yeah,
there was nothing to. I mean, the bad guy's ship looked like a repainted battleship Yamato. Yeah,
it kind of didn't it? I did like that shot when it was in the sky at the start. That was kind of like, oh, okay, that looks kind of cool.
The vagina warp gate.
Yeah,
weird. It's like, wow, that's a really interesting design for that.
Also,
you clearly designed that with intention, right? Because there's no way you designed that and then went, no one didn't at some point that out to you. You clearly just did that. Right?
Yeah.
There's no way that somebody didn't go, that looks like a vagina, right? You do.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows. Also, they may explain this later, but please can you explain to me how this vast spacefaring empire that have hyperspace warp and can colonize multiple planets can't farm and need to go take crops from people? Why is that? I couldn't figure that one out. I was like, why? You're a spacefaring race capable of colonizing planets. Why is this even a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Like it did nothing to explain why there was this resource problem at all. And this empire seemed vast and very powerful.
They literally just wanted farmers so that they could do the Magnificent Seven thing.
Well, yes. Yeah. But it's like in the Magnificent Seven, it makes sense. Because here, I'm like, it makes no sense. You're a spacefaring civilization.
Bandits that aren't going to get food anywhere else.
Exactly. And they're stuck to one region of one planet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where here it's a spacefaring empire that stretches,
And and I've heard a few people say they could have made it anything. They could have made it
a rare mineral that only grows on this planet.
Like dilithium crystals.
That
or something.
I could have bought that. I could have bought that if it was like, hey, there's something that they're mining here, and it's like, and it's like Dune. It's like the key to our spacefaring travel.
Yeah. Spice or fucking dilithium or even unobtainium.
Unobtainium, like yes.
Something that it's rare and that is.
Yes, I could buy that.
Yeah.
That'd be fine. You'd be like, hey, there's barely any planets that have this stuff. We've mined it to fuck everywhere else, and you've got this vein of it here.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough.
Simple. It's not. It's just a simple little thing. And you want them to be grain farmers.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
You'd have thought, in the future, an empire like that would have, come up with a solution for food stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. None of it holds.
Even if it's like fucking Silent Green or something. You know what I mean? There's something recycled or food or whatever.
Yeah, none of it makes any sense.
No, and they don't.
And they don't explain it. Of course, they don't.
They just.
Yeah, I certainly from what I've seen of this movie, I wouldn't recommend this.
I can. I mean, if you want to sit around with a load of mates getting pissed,
I mean that can be fun.
I recommend that.
Yeah,
but as a movie, it's atrocious.
I kind of worry about encouraging Zack Snyder at this point as well.
Well, the weird thing is, so this has come out, then the second one's coming out, and then he's releasing the director's cut of this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And the director's cut of the second one.
Why has he got a director's cut? It's on Netflix, and Netflix are letting him do whatever the fuck he wants.
I don't know. I honestly don't.
Surely he could have released the director's cut straight away.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's painful.
A series. They should have made it a series, really, because they could have done the collecting of the other people in an episode fashion, and it would have been paced a bit better.
Yeah, that's true.
You could have.
Yeah, it could have been like each episode was a new character that you're. Grabbing. Yeah.
But I mean, the idea that there's more of this.
The idea that this is just the start.
But then there's also that niggling feeling of, but will that make it better? Will it actually be
will the next film, now we've done the overly long introduction, be good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they cut out all the characterization, which means that... So I don't know why you would cut out the characterization. Seems,
I guess Robot Boy's back now, so you might have him more in the next one. It's something to look forward to.
Yeah, well... I mean, that little bit where they explained that the robots were, the protectors of the royal family.
Yeah, I liked all that. That was kind of interesting.
Since the death of the royal family, they now refuse to pick up weapons.
Yeah.
Stuff. That was all really interesting.
I know. I was like, this is your story right here.
Yeah. That was
but then it's brushed aside for everything that I'm not interested in,
Yeah.
But I mean, and even then I was like, is this actually interesting, or is it just Anthony Hopkins' delivery that's making me interested?
I mean, there is that.
Because he is just one of those voices.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony Hopkins has been phoning it in for years.
He has, but when it's only his voice, it's a lot less apparent.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's just him being him, really.
Also, I think Anthony Hopkins is even when he is phoning it in, he's so vastly talented.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. Like you said, is it mainly because it's Anthony Hopkins? It's like, that voice is a wonderful voice.
Yeah.
I thought something, then I look at what it was. There was something. What was it? Oh, bollocks, it's gone. But I mean, what can you? There's no possible way I could ever say this was a good movie.
No, I certainly couldn't.
Just that was it. So in the beginning with the soldiers that she's eventually going to kill. And,
yeah.
And there's one good soldier.
Yeah. He was like he helped the robot and he helped the girl that they were assaulting.
He basically had a character.
Yeah, he was kind of interesting.
He disappeared. He's like, did he die? I said,
does he not come back?
No.
Oh, I assumed he was going to have.
No.
At
one point, I said, I turned to my wife and said,
what happened to him?
Dude at the beginning? I said, did he die? And I missed it.
I assumed he was going to have a character arc when he ran away.
She said no. They just didn't do anything with him. He just disappeared. It's like,
oh god.
But he was the only one that actually had. I mean, he was a shit character.
Well, it was at least something though.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you take him with you? Because he's clearly now,
Well, he's dead if he doesn't join you guys.
Exactly. It's like, well, surely he's a soldier. He's
trained. Yeah. He's clearly trained.
Of the Empire firsthand.
He may have access to information codes, connections. Yeah. He's like you said, he's trained in the military. He's clearly got a good heart despite everything. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That guy, he'll just fuck off for the rest of the movie.
Okay, Zach.
Oh man, oh god, it was just so painful. It was so painful.
Damn.
And literally, the only thing that made it tolerable is that I watched it with other people.
I was really worried that we were going to start this review and I was going to say, like, I watched an hour and quit, and you were going to be like, oh, check, I liked it. It got better in the second half, and then I'd be like, oh god, am I going to watch the second half?
It does not get better in the second half. There's a Jenna Malone I'm pretty sure it was Jenna Malone. She turns up as this spider lady, right? Oh. Yeah, it is. The spider lady is really cool, and it looks there's this little bit where her character, Gina Bay's character is introduced with this. So they turn up to this I think it's like a mining world, and this spider is she's capturing like people's children and eating them, I think. Right. And she's doing that because the mining has poisoned her and poisoned her children, and she can no longer have children, right?
Right.
That's an interesting thing.
Does he keeps doing this, right? He's like, here's an interesting story. Now let me tell you about something else.
Yeah, here's a kernel of a story. Now let's forget that story and move on. Duna Bay is like she's been hired to fight this.
Do you think oh my god, is he doing this on purpose? Slow. Is he doing this on purpose to have 1 million spin-offs?
I think maybe.
Oh god.
There's a fight with the spider, and what could have been a fucking epic, like, lady with swords against.
Oh, and it's what Zach does. It's a visual thing. He could do that.
It's really slow, like fantastic to the point of being awful. Like, she looks like she can barely move with the swords, and there's a bit. So she fights with these swords.
Yeah,
they're like kind of cool looking swords.
Aren't they like heat sabers or something? They're like swords, but they heat up, right? I've seen like screenshots of them.
She spends half of the fight just fighting with the swords, and then she turns them on for like the thing. And you're like,
why didn't you turn them on to begin with?
Yeah,
it's like when people go into gunfights without cocking the gun. It's like, why didn't you just do that already? You know,
it's like, you just why? Is there some sort of? I mean, they didn't even say, "Oh, she can only turn them on." The
like,
power
only briefly,
like
5
seconds, 5 seconds. You know, there's a 5-minute power thing that it works for. No,
she has to build up her energy bar before she can use it.
Exactly.
Do enough counters to build up the energy.
She has to, like, the momentum of the sword throwing has to build up the power in the sword.
Yeah, she needs to score 20 more points before she can use her special move.
Exactly. They could have done something as ludicrous as that sounds.
No, I like the idea of, like, hey, like, they've got this setting, but it will wear out in 5 seconds. So it's like very briefly you can use this thing.
It'll burn out. And you've got nothing there. After that. So use choose wisely when you're going to turn that bit on.
Yeah,
that would have been cool, but yeah, they don't.
Damn. Well, I think we've probably buried this film.
Oh god, Jez. Oh, terrible, awful movie.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, for the record, I hate modern Star Wars, and no matter what I say about Zach, I was willing to give this one a go.
Yeah.
I was, and I went into it as positive as could be.
But I think that's the thing. Is I think a lot of people were willing to, even if they haters of Zack Snyder,
and
like, I'm willing to give it a go because it's an alternative to Star Wars.
Yeah,
and it's a new
100%.
IP, you know, it could be.
And to be clear, I was in desperate need of escapism, so I was like captive audience for this. It could have been perfect. It's like, no, you just made my bad day worse, sir.
Mm.
And then I quit. Anyway, well, let's move on. Let's not talk about this any longer.
So I'll do one that you've already.
Oh, okay.
So I watched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
And you've already reviewed it, but
I have. I enjoyed it. It's it's not as good as previous entries, but it's fun. That was my take.
There was so much stuff in this movie that I loved.
Yeah. The set pieces were amazing. The action sequences, the stunts. Again, he's got so on point with they're so on point with their stunts in these movies now. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of more of the same.
Of course.
And you know what you're getting, and it's one thing I'll definitely say is it never feels phoned in, which is great.
No, you can tell he really does love these movies.
He's still trying and doing his best, I think. I did find, and I think I wrote it in my notes, there is a lot in this movie that's very Roger Moore.
Yes.
There are whole chase sequences that are like, is this for your eyes only?
Yeah, you're absolute. Now you've said it. Yeah, 100% right. Yeah, yeah.
Like, the tone does sort of vary in this movie. It goes from like slapstick car chase to
world-ending apocalypse.
To keep the thing, it goes from Roger Moore to Timothy Dalton very quickly.
It does, and it's weird because in the previous movies, they've been a lot more consistent with their tone. When they're going for a more jokey, fun movie, they kind of keep that tone the whole way through. And you're right, here, they were really trying to up the stakes. So it's like it goes from the silliness, but then it's like, oh god, but this AI is going to destroy the world, and it's like, oh, okay.
And they've sort of retconned a few sort of things. There's a lot of sort of, and I don't know whether that was because they wanted to sort of have. Hey, remember Alec Baldwin was in those other movies? He doesn't exist anymore. We've just sort of forgotten about him.
Talking about forgetting, though, I got to the end of this movie. I don't know if you did, because it's Dead Reckoning Part 1, right? It's clearly Part 1 of 2.
Which was the stupid one. They shouldn't have.
Oh, it's way too long as a title. It's awful. But I'd gotten, and it just reminds me of the vehicle from Land of the Dead. Every time I read the title, but because that's called Dead Reckoning, right? I'm not making that up. I'm pretty sure that's called Dead Reckoning. But the the movie is so long, that I kind of forgot there was a part 2, and then right at the end, I was like, oh yeah, the sub. I forgot about this. I completely forgot about the sub, and then it kind of goes into the ocean and pans down. I was like, oh yeah, there's that. Sure.
It was a bit, but well, actually, I thought there was, because they this whole thing of with again Carrie Elwes' character. It's like, oh, I'm the only person that knows where the thing is, blah blah blah. I mean, it's like, well, surely not. You can't, because everybody, like, they found the keys. Somebody else must know where this thing is. It seemed a bit weird. It's like, no, I'm the only one that knows this, and they killed him off, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, the whole sort of this submarine thing was like, okay, at least it felt very Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
The whole sort of this.
I enjoyed the opening when it tricked them
it was
into,
a really nice opening.
it was like, that's kind of cool.
It was, one thing that I thought was really weird is, uh, Pom Clementif is her name? You know
yes.
You know she's Paris.
Yes.
She's Leonard Nimoy's character.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't even. Oh god, I completely missed that. I didn't even pick up on that.
By the end of the movie, they've recruited a load of people, and I think they're all like
they're the original.
Supposed to be like the original team.
Do you know? I didn't even pick up on her being Paris.
Sorry,
I didn't even pick up on that.
No.
Oh my god. Okay.
And I think the others are supposed to be sort of, like so. And it feels like, hang on, we're on what episode now is this? Episode.
I don't know.
8?
10? It might be 10.
Yeah, and now you're bringing in the actual people from the series. This is a bit weird.
Yeah, because this one links back to the first one as well, which is kind of weird, because that first one feels so tonally different to these movies now.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's really weird when they go back to it. It's like, really?
Sort of first, the whole sort of four movie section, they all feel different from each other. All those movies, they all feel like their own thing. They don't feel really connected.
Yeah.
It's not till it, the one with what's his name is the bad guy. It picks up being its own thing, and they continue from there as what it is.
Yeah.
But that was a very odd sort of choice, I thought. But I really loved, all the thing on the train.
Oh, the train was great. I mean, like you said, I think during my review, you were like, "Yeah, it's basically Uncharted," and you're right, it is. Yeah. But it's great. It's great to see.
It's really done, and they commit the sin for me that the second Bourne movie did, and that they killed off the really cool lady character.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, there are a few things in life sexier than Rebecca Ferguson behind a sniper rifle pulling down an eye patch.
Yeah.
that shot of her was like, wow, that does it for me. And I think it's been out, most people still sort of seen it, but
yeah.
I'm really pissed off when they killed off her character.
I was, because she was a great character as well, and
it does feel like it felt very like, we're going to kill off her, but we're going to replace her with this character.
Yeah, he needs new love interest now. Old love interest die.
It was she sort of aged out now. Can we get a new one? I don't know what the age difference is, actually. I think there can't be that much difference.
Probably not. And she's still gorgeous and kick ass in this movie. And it was like, why?
I love Hayley Atwell. I think she's great, and she's great in this.
Well, of course, bear in mind though, isn't she actually dating Tom Cruise?
Really?
I think so. I think that
I didn't know that.
might have something to do with the death of a character in this.
That's true. I didn't know that.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think so. Now, having said that, perhaps they met on this, and yeah.
It was a bit weird, and the one thing that the one that made me laugh quite a bit was, it's a stupid thing because they do it they've done it the whole series, but the idea of that Hayley Atwell can be what's her face Kirby, like they are entirely different shaped ladies. There is no there is no way that the mask is working out. I mean, we're talking, sure.
Okay, according to Instagram, she's not dating Tom Cruise. I just imagined that entire thing.
Okay. I hadn't heard that. Okay.
That was apparently something my brain made up.
Okay. It was the sort of moment when they said, "Oh, she's gonna dress up as that character and we're gonna put her there," and my brain went, "Oh, that's John Travolta fitting into
Nick Cage,
isn't it?"
Yeah, again, you well, not to the extent of Face Off, but these movies, when it comes to that kind of thing, it's like,
just go with it.
Your hands are going to be a different size. Your height is going to be different. There's so many issues with these things. Yeah. But it is kind of part of the conceit of these movies. You kind of,
But for some reason, it just made me laugh more.
No, it is funny. You're right.
I mean, right. The usual thing is Tom Cruise is shorter than everyone, so the idea that he can be anybody.
Yeah, you kind of assume he must be wearing like platforms or something,
Great big, platforms.
They should have shown that in a previous movie, that he's got like adjustable shoes so that he can get higher and lower depending on, well, never lower, presumably only higher. But
it slightly suffered from the non-entity bad guy. I think the bad guy didn't really have a presence in this movie. I thought he was a bit.
Well, isn't the bad guy an AI effectively though?
Well, the AI.
I know what you mean, but
no, I mean the hands. The guy who was playing the murderer, the whatever he was, the guy that now murdered his original girlfriend that we've never known about before. I thought he was a bit of a the last one with Cavill was fucking awesome.
I'm still gutted they killed him off.
Yeah,
Cavill was like the best.
They could have, made him escape and brought him back as
he could have been. I feel like if he was the main villain in this one, it would have been so much more compelling for me.
He would have been a bigger presence.
Yeah,
and the guy that
because they set him up to be his kind of equal, like not even his equal, he's kind of his better.
The younger model.
Yeah, it would have worked really well.
Younger, more muscled, version, isn't he?
Yeah.
And even with the guy that I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's the guy that Vanessa Kirby's character thinks Ethan is. He's the guy that set up all the stuff for the early.
Yeah.
He's an amazing presence. He's a really great bad guy, and he made the two movies that he's in. He's this menacing presence. I didn't get any of that from the dude here. He was just, we've set this guy up. Yeah.
I did think there were some really lovely moments in this movie, though. I think I said during my review, I really love the bit when the guy gets the head of the IMF to explain to him what IMF stands for.
Yeah.
And he kind of says it, and then you can see even he thinks like, that's really dumb actually now that I've said that out loud. Impossible Mission Force does sound kind of stupid.
And again, that feels like it's all been retconned as well, because the way he's talking about the IMF is like most of the people in this room don't know what that is. It's like, okay, fine, I understand that.
Yeah.
But the way they talk about it is like, you mean nobody knew what? This seems a bit weird. It's like it was a secret organization before, but people knew about it. It was a sort of a known thing.
It was at least known. Yeah. Now it's like super secret.
Yeah, super secret, even from the CIA and the FBI, and it's like, okay.
I also enjoyed the movie kind of with the guys from the guys that are chasing them. When they're like, oh, he's gone rogue, and the other guy turns to him and is like, he always goes rogue. Like, it's just like he does, because every movie he's pretty much gone rogue now for like many movies.
Well, that's the thing that they kind of he says, isn't it, that the whole purpose is we send him a mission, and if he chooses to accept it, it works. It's not even like a government organization anymore. It's like they're mercenaries of some mercenaries that or might not do it, which sounds really weird.
Yeah,
it's like they're fucked if Ethan just goes, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, because they kind of, it seems like the entire setup is that they send the mission to him.
Yeah,
he doesn't respond. And then they just assume he's saving the world, even though he might not be. They'll just assume he is.
this time round he just couldn't be asked.
Yeah, but they never know.
At the end of a battle or something.
They just assume he is battling the AI.
He's here somewhere. He's hidden away. It's like, no.
Nah, I couldn't be bothered, guys.
End of the world.
They're like, oh my god, this AI is gonna launch nuclear warheads from the submarine and like, nuke half of the US. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, on this tape and whatever, and they post it off, and then they hear nothing and assume it's fine, and then like 2 days later, the head of the IMF like leaves the office and just like walks across the road, and he sees Ethan Hunt in the bar having a drink. He's like, I thought you were saving the world. He's like, oh no, not this time. I couldn't be bothered. Oh, I thought, no.
Yeah, it's just the Impossible Mission Force is supposed to be like the last resort that you bring in, isn't it? Like the idea that they can go, no,
nah,
I can't be bothered.
Yeah,
like that doesn't even make sense.
No, they're not even getting paid. Like, what, you just doing this for a favor? I don't understand.
Yeah, because they kind of set it up that they gave him no choice. He has to do these things. It's like, well, that's not what you just said. You just changed what you said then. You gave him a choice to do these missions, and he's now sort of. It sounds like they set him up to be indentured to them.
Yes.
So he should do every mission that you send him on.
But like indentured for how long? He's been doing this he's been doing this since like 92.
But he might not. He's like, what? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But overall, I love it.
It's fun. It's fun, and you're right. It's just more of the same.
It's a lesser.
It's not as good as the last.
Up to the last two.
No, definitely.
The last two are probably the best ones.
I agree completely.
And, it's a pretty fucking high bar, to be fair.
Yeah, it's definitely not as good as the last two, but it's still very fun.
Yeah.
As hamster wheelie as it all feels, and as more of the same as it all feels.
Do you feel really sorry for Simon Pegg as well? Because 10 years younger than Tom Cruise.
I know.
He looks like 20 years older than Tom.
Is Tom Cruise proof that Scientology works? Because he's like, it's like, wow, you still look amazing.
Maybe. Was it Phaetons? Maybe they.
yeah, like, oh my god, maybe I should read those L. Ron Hubbard books after all.
I think Simon Pegg's a little bit older than me.
Yeah,
and he looks way older than I do.
Yeah, he looks like he's been really stressed out.
He does. I don't know. He looks like he's been through it.
Yeah, it's weird. But it as much as it is more of the same, I do really enjoy these movies. They're so slick, and their action scenes are so well choreographed and put together. The opposite of Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
They're just infinitely watchable.
I hope the next one, the tone's a bit more consistent.
Well, I'm assuming they're kind of panicking a bit because this one didn't do very well. And I guess they'll probably retool it a bit.
Made shitloads of money, but it just didn't do as well as they wanted it to do. I think
Yes, but I think Tom Cruise.
I'm not quite sure why that is. I don't think anybody really.
It's just one of those things. People just
like people said, especially after Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, everybody,
Yeah, it is a weird one that it didn't do well, but to be fair, I didn't see it in the cinema.
No,
so I can't complain.
No,
I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's
obviously we're going to watch the next one because they're just really, really solid movies.
Yeah, absolutely, and I kind of want to see how it ends now.
Yes.
Good fun. Sticking with films we've both watched, I watched Tetris on your suggestion, and also Ben was very keen. I'm a big video gamer, and I have known the story of Tetris for many years. To where when they suggested the Tetris movie, I was like, well, I guess they're going to do the story of Tetris, which is actually really interesting. Now, in my head, weirdly, I assumed it was going to be the story of the Russian who made it.
Yeah.
Rather than obviously that they're in it, but it's kind of like it's predominantly from the American perspective. Obviously, it makes sense. You're making a Hollywood movie. You're gonna do that. But yes, so you've already reviewed this one kind of at length, so I don't really have much. I don't really have much to add. This was superb.
Yep.
The cast are amazing.
Yep.
The pacing is superb.
Yep.
It's funny when it needs to be.
There were times where clearly they're going, well, this clearly didn't fucking happen.
Like no. There's so much of that movie that didn't happen.
Doing this, but
it's entertaining.
Matter. It works for the story they're telling. They're telling us an exaggerated version of what really happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's no car chases and all that shit.
Right. But it was, there were real dangers.
There were, and to be honest, knowing the story of Tetris, they do hit the major beats.
Yep.
Things like him convincing them to put Tetris on the Game Boy as the pack-in. That actually happened, convincing Nintendo to change the pack-in game to Tetris and things like that. So there were bits that I was like, okay, I know that story, and that is what happened. And then alongside that, you've got all of this additional stuff. But you're making a movie, and it's fine. It was a very entertaining movie that's based in fact, right? Must be really weird for the actual people who are still alive who.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't remember that car chase, but cool. Okay.
And Taron Egerton is just...
Oh, the whole cast.
It completely proves that he's not a one-note actor.
100%.
He's so... I mean, we kind of know that anyway, but in this, he's just wonderful. He's just such a charming presence as this guy that just wants to do good by people. He wants everybody to, it's for him. It's not about the money and he wants people to play this game. He wants everybody to know what it's like to play this game. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I will say, I think for me, the whole cast are great, but I have always loved Roger Allam, and his Robert Maxwell in this is so good.
Oh, he's so good.
He's such an asshole. He's so brilliant.
With him is Robert Maxwell is he turns up and you see him and you think, oh bloody hell, and then he speaks and it's like, oh, it's
yeah, because they've put him in like either he's gained a lot of weight or they've put him in a fat suit and he's got prosthetics and stuff. And as soon as that voice, you're like, okay, I know who that is now.
I love Roger.
He was great in this. Every time he was on screen, I was like, wow, you are just the worst. But in like the best way,
He's he's a total douchebag. Like the movie I think he's playing him the way that we kind of have that guy in our heads.
Yes, for sure.
I'm sure that Robert Maxwell wasn't like that exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. He plays him as like a straight up stereotypical Tory.
Yes.
Like proper conservative, but he is fantastic in that role. But everyone is in this movie. Absolutely everyone is great in this movie. And wonderfully directed. Really entertaining. This was a joy to watch, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a really, really fun movie, and I don't want to say too much because
no, me either.
I don't want to go over what we've already said because we're going to be doing that next week because this is not.
Yeah, and you've already covered it.
It's on my list for the top 5.
It's in mine now.
Yeah,
it is in mine now, and I didn't think it would be. So yeah, it's superb. We'll talk more about it next week for sure because it's the odds of it disappearing from both of our lists by next week are slim.
Yeah.
But yeah, great movie. What else have you watched?
Keeping with the whole
the theme.
I watched Talk to Me.
Yay! I hope you didn't hate it.
I really enjoyed it.
Hey, there we go.
I like.
Wow, we're agreeing with each other way too much on this episode. Yeah, this is weird.
I don't think it was. I didn't love it as much as I think a lot of other people have.
Sure.
There was, but what a great movie. I mean, what I love about it is it's a genuinely cool twist on possession.
Yes,
it's a really cool idea that this idea that weird possessions have become a TikTok meme.
That's the thing, right? Because when I started watching it, I thought, like, why would you be stupid enough to do this? This doesn't, like, why would they do this? It doesn't make sense. And then you realize, you're like, oh no, actually, there's literally kids on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram trying to eat detergent for attention.
Yeah,
they would totally do this.
Toilets.
They would totally do this. Like
paprika or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, actually, this would happen. This would happen.
Yeah, it's a really neat, and some of the visual. I mean, that fucking opening. Wow, that's
that kind of one shot. Yeah.
The thing with the two brothers.
Yeah.
So good.
Really good.
Again, this movie's been out for a while, so
yeah, I think we're fine.
When he stabs his brother and then sticks the fucking knife in his face, you're like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
I was not fucking expecting that amount of brutality.
Me either. And then similarly, that kind of disappears from your mind. Mm-hmm. And it again lulls you into a false sense of security.
It calms down.
It calms down to where you kind of think you forget that opening and you're like, oh, it's just a teeny horror movie. And then you get to the bit with the brother and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah. That was, whoa.
Yeah.
Fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Wow.
But so well timed and paced to where it's lulled you into that false sense of security.
They literally timed it so well that to the point where you were like, obviously, in the back of your head, you're like, well, it's going to escalate, obviously. Cause,
of course.
But when it does, it fucking does. And when he's trying to tear his eye out, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
what the fuck? This is so fucking cool.
And I just feel so sorry for the lead girl, who is superb in this. I really want to see her in more.
I think both lead girls.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Is it Sophie Wilde and Alexandra Jensen?
Yeah.
God, they're good.
Really good.
So good. And I'd seen Sophie Wilde previously in a series. I think it was a Netflix series.
Right.
And she's actually really good. She in that she was playing a girl who had an eating disorder.
Oh, okay.
She'd been away for a while, and she comes back to her friend group. Yeah. And it's very sort of over the top, sort of teen issue stuff.
Yeah.
But she was really good in that. She was, I think she was the standout in that series. So to see her in this doing, a great performance in this means that it wasn't just a one-off. She's a really good, somebody to look out for.
Yeah.
She was one. The only actor I thought was a bit rubbish was the dad. Her dad was like, wow.
Her dad was a bit one note and bland, and obviously Miranda Otto, amazing as always.
Miranda Otto always feels like another one of those actresses that should
get more work.
Yeah.
She's
massive, but for some reason, and I mean, not that she's been in terrible things. She's done some great stuff, but it always felt like she should have been used more because she's a great actress. She's
fantastic, and she's great in this. Is the mother, and you kind of she's taken this girl in as like kind of treats her like one of the family.
Yeah,
and you really feel that betrayal when she's like. No,
her responses are what you would.
They're perfectly natural, and it's such a tragedy because you're like, oh, she's so lovely, but so is Mia. Is it Mia? The lead girl. Like, so is she, and like they're both lovely, but you can totally see from her perspective why she would do this, and it's just it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's, and I love that it feels like a Australian horror.
Yes,
very Australian horror.
Yes,
and it's good for that. There aren't enough really good Australian horrors. They're one of those sort of it's almost like Australia every now and again lifts its head and goes, "Hey, look, I can do this."
Yeah. Here's a gem.
And it's exactly that. It's brilliant. I will totally watch, because I think they're doing a prequel with the two brothers, I think.
Yeah, I will absolutely watch another one.
Which I'm definitely going to watch. And they're obviously going to do a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the initial, when they talked to the brothers who directed it, is it Danny and Michael Philippou? They said, "Oh, you're going to make a sequel," and they were like, "Yeah, well, if it does well, it's done incredibly well." So there is.
So the budget was 4.5 million. The box office is 92 million.
Exactly.
There are absolutely sequels happening.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think that there's obviously going to be a danger that they'll overmilk it, and it'll.
I hope not.
It will end up like the Saw franchise and all the other.
That would be a shame, because, like you said, this is a genuinely unique take. Watching this as a possession movie, as you know.
I mean, I want to know more about the hand. I want to know.
Me too.
Fuck, it came from what? I mean, you know, and as long as they don't goof it up and fuck that up, this could be a really cool, you know, little sequence of movies.
Absolutely,
if they do it right, because they've set up a really interesting little bit of
lore.
You know, a really nasty relic sort of thing that.
Yeah, and you know, this coming out, this little indie horror movie from Australia.
Ooh.
And then Exorcist Believer, this huge budget piece of shit.
That fucking chat.
You know, but it just goes to show, is like, it's almost like last year when we had Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and we had Everything Everywhere. It's like, there's one done really well, there's one awful.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. And you know, also that I didn't even know until I looked. I was looking into the movie. There's a trans actress in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The character. It's what was the character? Haley. Character of Haley.
Oh, I loved Haley.
Yeah.
She's just like, she's the one that just hates Mia as soon as she turns up. She's like, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. Yeah. She's great.
Never once does it come up. Never once do they make an issue of it. Never once does it.
Well, no, and that makes it all the more
exactly
real life, because people don't act that way, or at least certainly the people that I interact with and you interact with and socialize with would never act the way that people act in these movies when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, people
are respectful and just accepting in my circles. It's kind of bizarre to me.
They're just people that happen to be
that
way. They're not,
of course.
Well, I mean,
and people.
I'm sure in places like LA and that.
I'm sure it exists. Yeah.
There are people that literally that's their whole purpose in life, is to say, "Hey, I'm this. I'm this."
I'm fine. Yeah.
For the majority, the people that I've met like that, they're just people.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, I've had friends that have transitioned, and it is just accepted in the friends group. So yeah, again, it feels very natural when you and it's great that you see it in a film where it's like, no, that is represented correctly within a group of friends. Why would people bring it up or make it an issue or have it be a thing? You know. So that's great. I wasn't aware of that either. So
I loved it. I loved the interactions with all the kids. They all felt like actual kids.
Yes, that as well, and that house party, because I was fucking Mia, you know, like just sat in the corner like, oh my god, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I was like, that was me.
That whole awkward sort of her talking to people and then going, yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that was my childhood too. It really did feel like a house party full of teenagers. I was like, yeah, I've been to one of those, a couple of them, you know.
The sequence where they're all doing it, there's like a sequence of them all going through and doing it. It's like, what a great little sequence of you know, them throwing up and them falling over and, you know, them doing, you know, acting weird and barking at people and stuff. It's beautifully done.
Yeah.
Really sort of, it tells you, you know, it in a very sort of brief, you know, thing, it sets up what these kids have been doing for however long they've been doing it.
And also it works on every level, because you totally believe that kids would do this for kicks and for TikTok.
Yep.
And equally, it's the video footage that they post online is exactly the kind of crap you'd see on like Slapped Ham or one of those like YouTube channels that just does like, rubbish ghost demon compilation videos, and you'd just be like, everyone would assume it was fake. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like it works.
The directors had a YouTube channel where they did stupid shit, didn't they?
Oh really?
So I can't remember what the name of the channel was, but they did stuff. I think one of them got arrested because I think, if I remember rightly, they.
Oh, so it's like semi autobiographical here. They're like, this is how I was. I was a moron for YouTube.
They waterproofed the car, filled it up with water,
oh my God,
and he drove around in it.
that's really really irresponsible, and I shouldn't have laughed.
Yeah, but they have a sort of first-hand experience of what the internet's like.
Yeah, no. So
it feels, I think it doesn't feel like the movie was made by an old director who doesn't really understand because so many horror movies are made on a sort of, oh, this is popular right now, TikTok's popular right now, let's give this director this.
Yeah.
And the director's like, I don't know, I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I don't understand what they're doing.
No.
So the movie comes out as, this feels like they're just doing what they've done. You know what I mean? It's they understand it, and they've made this movie, and it's great. I loved it. It was.
Yeah, I think it's a really fun movie. Really fun.
Yeah, and it's I think it's certainly if not the best horror movie of the year.
It's up there for me. Yeah, it's up there.
Absolutely, I really loved it. And like I said, the performances were great, well directed.
Yeah,
some lovely shots, and oh my God, the scene where she in the hospital where she is shown what's happening to him.
Oh God, yeah.
Wow, I got Society flashbacks.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Really grubby and fleshy and
gross.
And wow.
Yeah.
I loved it. Really good movie.
Yeah, awesome. So I watched Leave the World Behind.
Okay.
Which I've later discovered was apparently executive produced by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that until the other day. But it stars Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a pretty good cast.
I'm never going to get that name right. Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. Who is fantastic in pretty much everything I see him in as well.
Yeah, he's great.
So the movie kind of well, to put it in context, this is the movie I watched when I quit watching Rebel Moon.
Dude. You had a really great day.
I was having such a good day that day. Well, I will say that initially this movie did win me over immediately when the movie literally opens with Julia Roberts looking out a window and then saying, do you know what? I've come to the conclusion that I fucking hate people. And I was like, okay, sold. So basically Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke and their two shitty kids who are way too obsessed with technology go on holiday. She's booked this real posh like I guess it's a cottage Airbnb place, but it's like a super fancy swish kind of mansion-y place. So they're going to go on holiday, and they get there, discover the internet doesn't work, and there's nothing on the TV's not working and stuff. So they're having tech issues. The kids are like super into their tech, so they're obviously annoyed. Eventually, they go to the beach, and there's a wonderful, really good shot of this oil tanker out in the distance, and the daughter sees this oil tanker, and as the minutes progress, she's like, that oil tanker's getting closer. I think it's getting closer. And basically, this oil tanker ends up beaching. It ends up coming onto the beach. It's a really good shot. And So they're kind of like, I think that's actually going to like hit the beach, and they end up running away from it, and it beaches, and they end up kind of, even then they're like, well, that was kind of weird, and they're hearing that other tankers are doing the same thing, and they're just like, well, I guess it must just be some, navigation problem, AI problem, satellite problem, internet's out as well. And then you get the other couple turn up, Ali and his daughter, who is played by someone else.
Scott?
So you got yes, Ruth. Ruth is the daughter, and they turn up, and he basically says, but well, first of all, they're like, something crazy's going on. We're in the middle of nowhere. Now someone knocks on the door, and they're like, okay. So, they kind of grab a weapon, and they're like, oh God, is someone here to assault us or something? Why are they here? We're in the middle of nowhere. And they answer the door to this, father and daughter. And he says, look, I am the owner of this building. I own this mansion. Julia Roberts doesn't believe him. He says, well, I can prove it, because he kind of shows them. He's like, well, I've got I know where the drinks cabinet is. I know where all of these secret things are. And he says, look, we were in town, and is like, things are going wrong in town. There's no connectivity anywhere. Things are failing everywhere. This is my house. I will do good. I will refund you half the money if you just let us stay in the basement. We don't need to be in the main part of the house. We just need a place to stay for the night, because we can't get anywhere, and everything's kind of, technology is failing. So the movie kind of centers around, effectively it's one of those like, oh yeah, there's mystery end of the world stuff going on, and there's deer turning up in the garden, and flamingos turning up in the pool, and weird things going on. And this kind of threat of, or maybe it's a different country that are, they get like they find pamphlets are being dropped that, from this kind of in Arabic or something, saying death to America. But then they hear rumors that another country has dropped leaflets of the same type, but in different language. So they're like, oh, well, who's doing this, and where's it coming from? There's all of that going on, but the kind of crux of the movie really is just for these two families stuck in the same house and not trusting each other effectively, and kind of trying to work out whether they are who they say they are, and kind of ultimately then also trying to find out what's going on.
Does Marky Mark turn up?
Marky Mark doesn't turn up, no. Kevin Bacon turns up.
Yes, I did see that he was.
He turns up. If Marky Mark turned up, he would have solved all the problems. He would have come in, talked to a plastic plant, and just solved the problem. Yeah, so there are some great shots in this movie. The cast is really good. The plot, the pacing, not so much. I thought the pacing was really slow in places. It really dragged for me. There's a lot of commentary around class, race. You get the impression that Julia Roberts is just pretty much straight up racist. She kind of assumes that there's no way he could own this place, and it's kind of heavily insinuated that it's because of the color of their skin.
So I saw the trailer for this, and I saw the scene where
I didn't see the trailer. I didn't know anything about this movie until I put it on.
I saw the scene where she's talking to him and she doesn't believe that he's the owner.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like I'm out.
Yeah, it's quite heavy-handed. Julia Roberts is a great actress, so she kind of sells it to an extent, but yeah, I would say it's certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen. I would say it's kind of like a 6 out of 10 kind of movie.
Sort of vague vibes of was it Knock at the Cabin Door?
That was to me, I thought that was a better film.
Right.
I thought Knock at the Cabin was better than this, personally. And I don't say that about Shyamalan very often. But I do think that was a better movie than this was. But both have similar. Actually, well, no. The one thing, see, Knock at the Cabin has better pacing and tension, I think, than this film does.
Right.
There are some cool scenes in this movie. There are some like kind of horrific moments in the movie as well. But yeah, overall, it didn't quite stick the landing for me. I think the pacing was off. I found myself kind of bored a lot of the time.
Does it actually explain what's happening? Does it tell you what?
Kind of the whole. Well, it's done from the people's perspective. So I don't know if you get like solid evidence of who's doing what, but effectively, it's like Kevin Bacon's character, I think, is the one that says, basically this is the prelude to it, like it's effectively an invasion, but it's modern warfare. So it's not like boots on the ground. They're attacking all of they're basically disabling the internet. They're fucking with navigation systems. They're all the Teslas in the world are crashing into each other.
Yeah, I saw the thing where they were obviously having a go at Elon.
Yeah. So like it's that, and then they would, your power, your oil, your everything is controlled by that. So they're messing with all of that, and then they'll invade or whatever. I think at one point they even question whether it's aliens or something, But I think the idea is that it's a massive cyber attack. But then there's also some other weird stuff going on as well. Like deer turning up every morning and flamingos and stuff. So yeah, it does kind of get to the point. I don't want to ruin the ending, but yeah, it's I would say it's an okay movie. I wasn't by any means blown away by it. I didn't particularly hate it either. I just thought it was kind of average. It was okay. I think my time was better spent watching this, as low a bar as that is, than Rebel Moon. but that's not high praise. I thought it was okay. Is basically where I would put this movie. Not sure if it's worth a watch. To be honest, it's quite long as well. It's another like over 2 hour movie, and it's like probably could have been an hour and a half. But yeah, it's okay. Don't really have too much to say about it.
I think I'm
gonna. I wouldn't bother, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's average. Anyway, what else have you watched?
Okay, so I watched Saltburn.
Yes. Now, this one was suggested to me. I didn't get to it. So, what are your thoughts of Saltburn? So, this is the Amazon exclusive, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon currently. It's directed by Emerald Fennell, which is like
that's a name.
It's the most upper class English name. and she it does seem terribly upper class English.
Oh.
She previously worked on Killing Eve.
Okay.
And she did is it Promising Young Woman, which I've not seen, but apparently is very good. So we're introduced to Barry Keoghan's character, Oliver Quick, who is basically he's a they call it he's a grant student. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's the what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, he's gone to Oxford on a scholarship. That's the word I was looking for. Scholarship. So he's a scholarship student that's gone to Oxford, and he's from Merseyside. So obviously he clearly doesn't fit in with all the usual, the poshos. It's I think it's set like 2006.
Okay.
So it's around that sort of period. Because I got a feeling the director is sort of placing it where she was when she was at Oxford.
Yeah.
And he, quickly establishes that he doesn't fit in. There's, he's there. He's in his suit and tie and stuff, and of course all the poshos are in their rich cash stuff, and they're all walking around, and he's basically told that he's trying too hard, and he basically becomes obsessed with Felix, played by Jacob Elroldi, and who's this sort of, he's the sort of the campus star. He's everybody loves him, everybody wants to be him, all the girls love him, but he's not a dickhead. I mean, he's a posh dickhead, but he's not the usual. He's not nasty, or he's a kind of chill guy. He's the sort of life and soul of the party, but he's not vicious or like there's a character, Farley, who's his cousin, who is the atypical rich dickhead.
Yeah.
Who keeps putting down Oliver's character. He's like, keeps telling him that he doesn't fit in and all that sort of stuff. So on a sort of chance he's trying to fit in, but he's got one friend who's a bit of a psychopathic maths student who's like really weird. He comes across this Felix with a punctured tire on his bike, and he says, I'm going to miss my class. If I'm late again, I'll probably, get chucked out of that class. And Oliver says, look, why don't you take my bike? He says, I'll take yours back. I'm not busy. I was just going to the library anyway. I'll take your bike back to the campus and you can have my bike. And he's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. He's like, well, thanks, whatever your name is. What's your name? He's like, Oliver. He's like, I love you. He says, you're brilliant. I'll get this back to you. It's going to be great. And then from then on, they become friends. He starts. It kind of feels like he's his pet project. He's into the group, and there's Farley, the cousin, is like they're at the pub, and they're all buying rounds, and of course these ridiculous expensive rounds in Oxford.
Yeah.
And he says, oh no, it's your turn now. And he's like, well, he wants to play with us. He's got to buy a round. So of course he goes to the bar and he doesn't have the money. And Felix, says, oh, you drop this. He's like, I can't. It's like, no, it's you. I don't know what you're talking about. You drop this sort of thing. So as it goes on, he says, right, summer holidays coming up. Felix says, well, Oliver explains that his dad's an alcoholic. His mother's an alcoholic. His dad's abusive, sort of drug dealer. So he's got this horrible, sort of family life. And Felix really sort of, feels sorry for him. And Oliver says, his dad dies at one point, and he says, I don't want to go back home. And he says, why don't you come to Saltburn with me? Saltburn's his family estate. He says, my family will love you. They all they love new people. People stay there all the time. His aunt, I think it is, she's been staying there for months. It's like things. It's great. You'll come on. You'll have fun. It'll be great. You'll love it. He's so obviously he's overjoyed. So they get to Saltburn, and he's like told, he's shown around the house, and it's like this room, like Henry VIII was in there. I think he says I think some of his spunk is still on the seat on the sheets. And they're walking around, and of course he's telling us, and he's like looks a little shell shocked and stuff. And he says, "He's right." He says, "You're this is I've given you one of my suits because we dress for dinner." And he's like, "Dress for dinner?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "We dress for dinner here. It's just a thing. It's nothing special." He's like, "That's how it is." And of course, he's introduced to his sister, who's clearly a little weird in how she's. Well, they're all fucking weird. The whole family of they're quirky, weird, rich people. So you've got Rosamund Pike plays the mother, who in a very funny moment is convinced that Pulp's Common People was written about her. Right. You've got Richard E. Grant, who's playing his dad,
Uh-huh.
and then of course you've got the cousin Farley, who's there as well. So Farley is it looks like he's a sort of not exactly the black sheep of the family, but his mother was kind of I think it says she got into drugs and stuff, and it all went a bit wrong for her. So the Sir James Richard E. Grant's character is kind of taking him in, and he pays for all his stuff, and he's sort of he's family, and he's looked after by him, and obviously that's means Farley. One of the parts was why Farley's such a big dickhead is that he's all sort of scrounging for money all the time, but it's just what he does. The family just sees it that way.
Mm.
So I'm not going to spoil this movie, but obviously things go a bit awry, and is Oliver who he seems to be? Is what's going on there? There's weird things, but he's totally obsessed with the Felix character, and there were some moments in this movie where there's one particular scene in a bathroom that basically sent my wife heaving and looking away, and she did not want to discuss that scene after the movie finished.
Oh no.
All I say is that it's to do with a bath, and
right.
What happens in that bath, and then what Oliver does afterwards.
Okay.
Which is, not what I was expecting, but shows the depth of what his character will do.
Sure.
I think people have said, and I think it does give away some of the things, I guess, when you of what the movie is when you say it like this, but it's very much, for me, the Talented Mr. Ripley meets Brideshead Revisited.
Right. Okay.
So it's a sort of a character that's not really who he says he is.
Yeah.
Got in with the Richos.
Mm-hmm.
And the Richos, they're all pretty awful people.
Yeah.
So, stuff happens, and your degree of sympathy will fluctuate. But
sure,
this movie is fucking brilliant.
Excellent. I'd heard that. It. So
it's so good. Barry Keoghan is wonderful. He has got these massive blue eyes that sort of dazzle you with its sort of oh, who, me? It's like, I'm just an innocent young boy, me. I couldn't possibly be a twisted fucker. I'm just, he is wonderful. He sells this character so well. And by the end, I think you get to a certain point where you go, are they going to explain? Are they going to go there? Are they going to make it clear what's happening, or are they not? And I won't spoil what happens in the end, but you do sort of go, okay, so right. He's great. Everybody's great in this movie. I've not seen the guy who played Felix before, but I think he was in stuff like The Kissing Booth and stuff like that. So I think he's one of those teen heartthrob actors. I think girls really dig him, and I can see why. He's a tall, handsome chap who plays this character brilliantly. He's the sort of life of the party that everybody wants to be, and he plays it really well. Richard Grant doesn't really get much to do other than be the dad, the tough dad character. Rosamund Pike gets a little bit more to do, and she's quite funny as the sort of slightly delusional mother who sees Oliver, and she's like, "Oh, darling, your eyes." She's like, "Oh, Felix, you when you said he was lovely, you exaggerate. And he's like, I told you he was a lovely. And she says, yes, but you like everyone, so you exaggerate and stuff. And it's like, wow, what the brilliant sort of, over the top characters. But it's so well done. It's so sort of, well, for me, it felt very believable that, that these are these awful characters, but they didn't feel like they were so exaggerated that they were impossible.
Yeah.
They just felt like they were exaggerated, to the right degree that it worked for me. Like I said, the performances are really, really good. There's some beautiful shots of this sort of stately home, and if you're not into that sort of stuff, then that's not what I understand. But
yeah,
it's so good. It really gripped me in the.
That's great.
That and I think you sort of you're constantly sort of second guessing whether Oliver is, like I said, he says who he is, who he is, and how much is he aware of what's going on, and how much is he moving things? You know what I mean? Like, how much is planned? How much is there? And it's really got a lovely build up, because there are these great scenes where he gets over his head, and the cousin sort of there's a bit where there was a party, and Farley, they're doing karaoke, and Farley says, Oliver's going to sing a song now, and here it is, and he sets it up, and the tune started, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're going here, you prick. And he basically sets up the Pet Shop Boys, You Pay My Rent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's like, nice. Okay, yeah, you really are a prick, aren't you?
Yeah. Excellent.
It's great. I highly recommend it. It's like I said, mainly for the Barry Keogh's character. He's so good, and it's everybody's doing exactly what they need to do. It's just really nicely done. It's beautifully shot. It's a really nice, twisty, at times gross movie. That's there was a couple of scenes. There are two scenes that will really
stick with you.
People. They will. There's one scene, like I said, with the bath that was like, whoa, okay. And then there's another scene later on, which I won't even hint at.
Right. Okay.
That you just go, ooh, okay. And apparently, the scene towards the end of the movie, Barry Keogh, the actor, said, "Oh, I improvised it." He said, "I want to do this," and they were like, "Okay, go for it." And he's like, "Ooh, okay, fine." Yeah, it's brilliant. I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
really good movie.
Cool. I will definitely be watching it. It was recommended to me. I just hadn't had time to see it yet, with everything going on. But yeah, it's on my list.
Yep.
I believe you have one more movie.
So, it's The Great Escaper.
Yes, Michael Caine's final film.
So that's exactly why I wanted to watch this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a massive Michael Caine fan. I love Michael Caine.
It's rare for him to star in stuff now as well.
Yes, that's exactly that. And there was a movie I reviewed, I think either beginning of this last year or the end of the year before, where he was the writer. And I thought that was going to be his last movie, because it kind of felt like that might be his last. But no, this is it. He's now officially retired, which is, as he pointed out, this I'm 90 now, and this is probably the last time I'm going to actually be the main character in a movie. Yeah, so,
and as I said to you before we started this podcast, it you see him in stuff like The Last Witch Hunter and stuff, and you're like, Jesus, man, like, you're such a talented actor, and to be kind of relegated to these kind of rubbishy roles, Yeah, I can totally see why he'd be like, no, I'm going to go out on a good one and I'm going to star in it. Fair enough.
So this is the sort of based on the true story of his name now, Bernard Jordan, who was a Second World War veteran, and he wanted to go to the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings in France, and he left it too late, and so all the places were taken.
Yeah,
and they're in a nursing home. Him and his wife, played by the wonderful Glenda Jackson, who sadly died last year.
Mm.
Him and his wife are there in this home, and she says, he's upset that he's missed it, and he's a bit distraught, and she says, well, the man I know would just go.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't leave you. She's clearly ill, and she's on her last legs.
She's kind of telling him to move on, I guess.
Yeah,
she's like, hey,
you've got to go, and he's like, yeah, I can't go. So he does. He basically sneaks out of the home, and he gets on the bus, and he gets on the ferry, and he goes over on his own.
Yeah.
So that's what really happened.
Is he playing? Was the real man presumably was probably in his 80s, 90s when this happened?
Yeah. The real guy was literally an old war veteran who if he just went, okay, I missed it, but I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to miss it. And obviously, I don't know how much is the real thing, like
Tetris is like how much
he
of
has
this?
He has a reason to go this time. It's like he's thinking,
it's going to be my last one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he on the ferry over, he bumps into John Standing's character of Arthur, who was a bomber pilot during the war, and he clearly has some sort of issues as well. And they've both got their little sort of things that you find out over the course of the movie, and you get these flashbacks to when they were younger, and you get these like insights into their how they became a couple and stuff, and what they've gone through, and it's a nice little movie. It could so easily have been a very average sort of melodramatic old guy escapes and goes on a jaunt, but the fact that you've got Glenda Jackson and Michael Caine playing these two characters who are just you're just every time they're on the screen you're watching them. You're just they're just pulling off these great characters, and Michael Caine is such a wonderful actor, and even playing an old guy is just a joy to watch. The sort of the genuine emotion he shows when he's thinking about this. The reason why he's going, well, not really a spoiler, is he's going because when they were transporting the ship he was on was transporting tanks, to the landings, and he got friendly with this guy, this tank guy, and he says, I'm scared, and he's like, you'll be fine, mate. You'll it'll be great, and he says to him, look, he says, I've got this cigarette case, and it's got a letter to my mum in it and stuff, and he says, if anything happens, he says, I want you to take this letter and give it to my mum. And he's like, no, you'll be fine. And of course, obviously, he isn't fine, and it's obviously burnt him away all these years that he saw this guy and he didn't really do what he said he was. So that he goes, he wants to go to this guy's grave and kind of talk to him, really, and the character of Arthur has a similar sort of story. he has a thing with his brother, and how what I won't spoil that one because that one's a bit of a kicker.
Sure.
But it's so lovely, and John Standing, who's another wonderful actor who is had a fucking wonderful career playing amazing characters over these, and he's wonderful. He has this, he befriends him, and they're talking, and he says that I'm an alcoholic, and that I chose to do this instead of that, and you think, oh my god, this is just wonderful. If like I said, any other actors, this probably would have been a terrible movie, but it's not. It's completely elevated by these wonderful performances.
Yeah. Especially when it's the final performance by one of the greatest actors of his generation.
And Glenda Jackson is
and of course, I guess
not long after it was completed.
I guess it's probably hers as well then.
And so it's her last movie too, and it kind of feels that like that. It feels like
you've got that finality to it all.
This is a movie where two, maybe three even. Possibly,
true.
Wonderful actors are just showing what they can do for the last time, and it's a worthy movie for Michael Caine to go out on.
Do you know it's
so good?
It's really weird because I remember thinking that about Harry Brown.
Yes,
and then he kept going. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Harry Brown felt very much,
back to his roots, back to that kind of, and I was like, okay, that's it. And then he kept going. This sounds great. I mean, not necessarily the most amazing movie ever, but it sounds like a film that definitely has to be seen, given the wider context. And it sounds like a really sweet movie anyway.
Yeah, it's really cool that it's like I said, it's completely elevated by the fact that it's those two actors in the main roles, and they're just so wonderful. The just brilliant little scenes of just one or two people just talking about stuff, and it's a movie about trauma and dealing with stuff and being characters being aware that this is probably the last they're going to do anything. This is the character-wise and actor-wise. It's that this is it. This is we're old now. We're this. There's a I love that. There's a brilliant bit at the beginning when Bernard's been out and he comes in, and Renée, Glenda Jackson's character, she's putting on her makeup. And he says I'm coming in, and she says, no, you're not. She's like, I'm putting my face on, and he says, I've seen you without it before, and she says, yes, in 1975, and I'm not going to do it again.
Fantastic, that's great.
such a brilliantly sweet, believable couple.
Yeah,
they're lovely.
That's great.
It's a genuinely heartwarming. What could be kitsch and just as a throwaway movie isn't because of those two actors. And it's beautiful and lovely, and I loved it.
And I joke about like, The Last Witch Hunter, which was a rubbish Vin Diesel movie that he basically plays another version of Alfred in briefly.
Yeah.
Awful.
And
and
he's been doing that for years.
Well, he's been doing it for years, and while I joke about it, there is always that genuine fear at his age that his last movie will be some trash like that. So it's great that
the Raul Julia effect.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, Raul Julia, it was kind of sweet because he did that for his kids, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have a fucking clue what Street Fighter was or any of that nonsense, and he did it for his kids. And
in that fucking movie,
of course, he's so overqualified for that role. I mean, good lord, what are you doing, sir? But yeah, it's great that Michael Caine has gone out on his own terms in a really sweet, great movie. Fantastic news.
Yeah, it's a really lovely movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I think that is everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to cover before we go? I know Glynis Johns passed away yesterday, 100 years old.
Yeah.
Famous, obviously, Mrs. Banks from Mary Poppins, and Batman, and a bunch of stuff. She guest starred in Cheers. She's turned up all over the place over the years.
Yeah, she was in so many lovely little parts. And, I love Mary Poppins so much.
Oh, me too. It's a wonderful movie.
She's wonderful in it.
Yeah,
wonderful actress.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
No, I think. Did you want to talk about Reacher? And
we can do if you want. Yeah.
I mean, we can wait till we've seen the whole series. I mean, it's the same with Monarch. I mean, I've been watching that and kind of enjoying them.
Yeah, I mean, we it's up to you. Would you want to talk about it now, or should we wait until we finished it?
I think we've had quite a long show, so I think we'll wait till we've.
I think we will probably be, if we're doing, because next week we'll do our top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It will probably be near enough finished, both of them, when we come back, right?
Yeah,
I would have thought. So yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, I won't ask you what movie we're doing next week because we're not doing one. We're going to be doing our top 5 films of 2023. But yes, until then, stay safe, take care, and we'll catch you next time.